Welcome to Sportsbet Daily at oddsmarket.com. It's short and sharp today. It's the ATP Next Gen series, and we're going to go to Milan in Italy. It's the tennis, so it's Snize and James are going to be joining me. Lads, how are we?
Not bad, thank you.
Are we looking forward to a nice rest, Snize?
Clearly not.
We never rest.
So we've got, what, 2 or 3 weeks
ends.
of the season left, James? So is it mostly that the players are now going to be taking it easy and ready for the first major of 2020?
Yeah, if they've got any sense, they will be. Some of them seem to not do that very well. But I mean, yeah, certainly this is the only time you have off all year. It's one of the most brutal seasons of any sport. So if they've got any sense, they'll be prepping themselves for January, trying to get some pina coladas in the sun, maybe, whatever you like.
Pina colada, you've given us a little bit too much information there, my lad. I would have kept that well under wraps. Snize, Next Gen ATP Finals. Can we expect any of these? First of all, give us the format. And is it it's just for like obviously in the title, Next Gen. So it's like for the younger players. And are we going to see any of these break through and contend in the majors next year?
Yeah, so the regular season, so to speak, of tennis has now been wrapped up. We only have the Next Gen Finals and the ATP Finals left. Also Davis Cup Finals and Challengers, if that's your cup of tea. The Next Gen Finals is, as you can hear from the name, it's a relatively new format. It's in its third year now, and all people aged 21 and under take part. So the best 8 players in this age range duke it out for the championship. And so, yeah, this has been played in Milan for the last few years here. The format is actually quite unique. They actually went back, but they used to have no let. So if you did a let serve, they'd keep on playing. But they put that back. It's best of 5 sets, but only 4 games in each set. They do tie breaks. They have no line judges. It's all done by Hawkeye Live, which is pretty cool. And they also have each player has a headset so they can communicate with their coach, which we can listen into. So there are a lot of interesting, and also no ad. So if it's juice, it's deciding point like they do in the doubles. So a lot of new curricular things that make this a very interesting event to follow.
James, just picking up on what Snize said there. So is it each set? Is it the first to 4?
Yeah, so each set is first to 4 games, and you play a tiebreak at 3-all. So it's basically they've just halved the set and then had 1 extra game on it, but you have to play best of 5. So they've not really made it any quicker overall in terms of the length. They've just distributed it differently, which I think the idea is that tiebreaks are exciting, swingy matches are exciting, so they just want players to, I guess, take advantage of that, play a lot of 5-set matches. But really, it's just an experimental format. It's not classified as a proper event, so the players and the organisers have a bit more freedom with what they can do, basically.
Yeah, I quite like the sound of it. It sounds like it's a bit more entertaining. A little bit like the old 2020 when it came out. Obviously, your purists are not going to like it, but the young guns are certainly going to like it because they can express themselves with a bit more freedom. All right, let's kick off with the outrights then, Snize. You're going for Dominiere at 3.
Yeah, so in this event now, we've actually had quite a few withdrawals. The top seed who went first in the race to this event, Stefanos Tsitsipas, he has withdrawn, and that's because he already qualified for the ATP Finals, the big event. Denis Shapovalov has withdrawn, and he was quoting exhaustion there. Another big player in the top 20, and another player who's been in the top 20 this season, Felix Auger-Aliassime, has also withdrawn. So out of these players that are left, De Minaur is by far the best player. He's the world number 18 right now. He's won 3 titles this year. He has the experience of having played this event the year prior, something only one other player has. And he went to the final and lost that to Tsitsipas in that edition. And he's just so solid from the baseline, almost impossible to hit through, so consistent. And he's just a tier above the rest of the players in this tournament. He's been drawn in a relatively weak group. He won his first match here against Alejandro Davidovich Fokina, even though he wasn't playing his very best tennis, which is a good sign. So really should be able to mostly cruise through the group, and then semifinals and finals will be the big favorite. So de Minaur seems a very decent option here.
James, you've gone for Sinner to win it out 7.
Yeah. So Sinner's in Group B, which is the bottom group. So the top group is where de Minaur is. So I think if I'm going to take someone else other than de Minaur, so de Minaur was my main bet in the article for anyone who wants to read that. He's now 2.75. But I would probably want to take someone in the other side. I think the other side's quite open. So you've got Humber, Ymer, Sinner, and then Tiafoe. So Tiafoe is the only other player to have played at the Next Gen Finals before, but he wasn't very good. I don't really feel like he enjoyed the conditions that much. They weren't awful for him at all, but I think he prefers it a bit quicker. So I feel like Sinner, who's the joint favourite with Tiafoe in that group, has a great chance to get through to the finals. It'll be very tough if he does get there against de Minaur, hopefully, but he will certainly not be 7 in the final, and he'll have every chance if he gets there. He's been one of the best players to bet on this entire year, Sinner. He's got a 39% ROI in 2019, which is pretty unheard of. He comes into this on the back of 2 excellent showings in Vienna and Antwerp, where he essentially showed that even though he's 18, he can compete at the main tour with no problems. He has no fear, from what I can see, very level head. Got into tennis quite late, and as we saw with Federer, is the obvious example. It seems to allow players to be a little bit more balanced. They're not quite as extreme, and they're a bit more focused. And he has an incredibly aggressive game. He's not going to give anyone an easy match here. And essentially, I'd expect him to have too much for everyone in the group. Everyone else in the group is kind of underperforming especially when they're being priced as the underdog, as they will be against Sinner. Sinner's the favourite against the joint favourite for the group in his first match. He's 1.7, 1.8, I think, against Tiafoe. So it makes sense to me that to take him at 7 outright, or 3.25 for his group, given that that's the same price as Tiafoe. So I don't really see why he would be the favourite against Tiafoe, but not be the favourite over Tiafoe to win the tournament. So yeah, I think essentially he's been playing probably second or third best tennis in the entire group of people here recently, and I think he's at home, he's the wild card. I think he'll be very up for this.
Okay, you mentioned Sinner for Group B at 3.25. That's where you're going, Snize.
Yeah, so as James touched upon there, Group B is not as straightforward as Group A, where de Minaur is the massive favorite. We have a lot of kind of closely ranked players here who on their day can be pretty closely ranked in ability as well. But the key thing to note here is that Tiafoe, he has really underwhelmed all year after he went a shocking quarterfinal at the Australian Open and Miami Masters. But since then, he's only won 14 matches all year. And he hasn't impressed at all. He's a super inconsistent player. He lost to an injured Taylor Fritz, who had sustained a knee injury, yet still won last time out, which certainly isn't frightening. We have Ugo Humbert, who is one of those who has risen up pretty quickly in the ranks. He's really good indoors, has a big lefty game, but still hasn't been able to quite make it there against the very, very best. And then we have Mikael Ymer, who just broke into the top 100, first Swede to do that in 16 years. And while his future ceiling may be high, his ceiling right now is pretty low, and he usually falls flat against the better players. Also has a tendency to choke, which is pretty sad if you're a Swede like me. So, yeah. And then we have Sinner. He's risen over 1,000 spots in the rankings over the last 14 months. He's pushed the very, very best. He fears no one. He has a humongous artillery, and the best thing about him is that he plays so smart. He's calm on the court. He uses angles and really tactically knows how to get his big weapons into play, which is really unheard of for a guy his age. With those kind of weapons, they tend to be over aggressive and sell themselves short. But he has none of that. And obviously, as James mentioned, he's the wild card. He's playing at home. He'll have enormous crowd support. So I definitely fancy him there.
Okay, so you go. I mean, there seems to be a really strong feeling for Sinner to actually get to the final. But win the group 3.25, win it outright 7. Now here's one, Davidoff for Kina, each way at 31. That's yours as well, Snize or James?
That's James's.
That was my one. So I was. This was one of the tips in the article that I included primarily because I wanted to punish Unibet. They'd offered us twice the price pretty much of anyone else. But I'm pretty sure the 31 didn't last too long. And I probably wouldn't advise people to back it any shorter than that now. So if you've not already backed it based on the article, I would give that one a miss.
Okay, let's have a look at the daily bets. Tiafoe versus Sinner, over 23.5 games at 1.8. Now, you said that these sets are like half. So, I mean, the winner's got to be at 4. There's potential 5 sets. 23.5, is that quite high?
Not really. It kind of depends how you want to look at it. Whenever you change format, you have to think about it for a little while to get your head around it. 23.5 games would be a lot in a normal 3-set match. But in a 5-set match, we're essentially asking for an average of 6 games per set over 4 sets. So the chance of 4 sets is very high in this match. It's 2 players who are priced very close to evens. With Sinner, it actually opened at evens, and then quite a bit of money's gone on Sinner since then. But basically, this is the kind of matchup where you would expect it to be pretty even. And so if we're hoping for an average of 6 games per set, that's 4-2. Now, obviously, you can get broken straight away. You can lose 4-love. But more realistically, I remember when I watched this last year and the first couple of matches this year, most of the sets are going to at least 4-2. A lot of them are going to tie breaks. And when you've got 5-set matches, especially with players so even, you would certainly expect both of them to win a set most of the time. So yeah, in essence here, if you look at the stats for these 2 players away from this event, just to give yourself a broad idea of how they perform with overbets, the overbet has only lost in 17 of the last 50 matches for Tiafoe when he's priced 1.5 to 2.99. So in pretty close matches like this one. And it's lost for 8 of 20 for Sinner in that price range. So you can get a feel that they're both players who are relatively good for this kind of bet generally, especially Tiafoe. He's very much the kind of player that will play well for a set, go off a bit. He'll be able to usually at least win a set, but he's not going to be particularly clinical on the whole. These 2 met in Antwerp very recently. It was 3 sets, so the overbet came in comfortably. And they only had 5 break points each, which is not a hell of a lot over 3 sets.
Okay. Well, I'm going to move on. Sinner, money line at 1.83, Snize. Now, I look at it and I think, well, if I've got Sinner at 1.83 on the money line and we've got Tiafoe and Sinner over 23, isn't there an argument that you could go with Sinner and over 23.5?
Definitely there is. I think their Bet365 offers parlays of results and games like that. So I would definitely endorse that parlay. As James said here, really the overline, I wasn't out when I tipped this bet, but I really like that bet since I have to note that the courts have been traditionally pretty slow at this event, but they're really, really fast this year, playing really, really quick. So we're going to see a lot of tie breaks. We're going to see a lot of serve-orientated matches. We saw 2 tie breaks, for example, in the first match that was played today. We saw 1 tie break in De Minor's match. We see 1 tie break here in Umbat in the first set. So we're going to see a lot of tie breaks. Sets are going to be close. And the format is just random. It allows for a lot of things to happen. It's easy for players to take a set. So definitely like the over there. But for Sinner, been alluding a bit to this, but I just don't think that Tiafoe has been that impressive since really this spring. He hasn't done much of anything. He hasn't really impressed. I think he's far too inconsistent from the back of the court to trouble the best. He has the propensity to hit a lot of unforced errors at bad times. And if we look at Sinner, he just has the bigger weapons. He has the huge forehand, he has the huge backhand. He's very calm and poised under pressure. He'll have the home crowd on his side, and he's been in much better form than the American as of late. So I really didn't think there's any doubt that he should be favored, and with the home crowd to boot, I do expect him to win.
Okay, and of those that do fancy parlaying up at 1.83 with 1.8, looks like great value. Before I let you go, gentlemen, what else have we got coming up in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, so just one bet we didn't mention here is Demonor to win the group. I don't think we've mentioned that. That was one of the standout bets to me that I went heavy on, since really he's by far the best player in the entire tournament. And in that group, he's been drawn in with Ruud, who really does poorly anywhere that's not clay. With Kekmanovic, who has lost 6 out of his 8 matches coming into this event, and Alejandro Davidovich Fokina, who only got hit in air luckily after several withdrawals. He was priced at 1.72 to win that group, which is a steal to me. But yeah, after this event here, we're going to have the ATP Finals, so be sure to tune in for that one. Some fire stuff. We have Djokovic and Federer in the same group. We're going to have a great time there in London. And then season is pretty much wrapped up. Davis Cup and some challengers. And after that, well, we're going to pack our bags and prepare for 2020.
James, who's the best team Davis Cup?
Oh, I'm not actually sure. I've not really looked into the Davis Cup recently. It's usually one of the teams like GB or Serbia that has a big name player who decides to play. But I'm not actually certain on the immediate teams right now.
Okay, well, good luck to Dominia, good luck to Sinner, and I'll see you obviously before the ATP. That's at the O2 in London, I believe.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, see, they say the best venue till last. Okay, boys, you take care, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Cheers, Flash. See you
Take
later.
care, man.
Cheers, James. Cheers, Snize. So they're your tennis gurus. Only a couple of weeks left of the season. Looking forward to 2020 already. What a phenomenal year they've had. And that, I fancy they're going to get stronger and stronger. That was the Next Gen ATP Finals in Milan. Domenier at 3 to win. Sinner to win at 7. I wouldn't be surprised if I see him in the final. See you soon.